Hello guys, it's me again, Broken Glass Shattered. Welcome to a new video of mine. So today's video we'll be talking before I start, I just wanted to say sorry for the face that's already dirty. I was already recording this video, but I noticed that I had like no idea how to put my ideas into words. I was stuttering for the life of me, and I chose to restart the video, but I didn't feel like taking it all off. Anyways, so today we're going to be talking about one of my favorite fictional characters, technically, that I have like always identified with or as, kind of, not entirely. Yeah, and I put too much micellar water in this. Anyways, and we're also going to be discussing how I believe that that was a symptom of my DID, because I've noticed that I thought that I had developed DID when I was 12, which is kind of true. I've developed like the multiple personality aspect of it at 12, but I've always have struggled with having an identity when I was younger too. So the fictional character that today's makeup is inspired by, and that I am like that has always been a huge part of my identity ever since I was a child, is SCP-035, the possessive mask, which like, if you don't know about it, I'm sorry, but I'm not going to explain it to you. It's a pretty quick read, actually. It's like, you can find some YouTube videos on it, you can find it on YouTube. You absolutely do not need to go in depth about it. But I'm pretty sure that you guys probably know him. Like, he's a pretty popular fictional character. Anyways, ever since I was young, like in elementary school, I have been very fixated on the SCP Foundation. And when I was a kid, I was obsessed with SCP-096 and SCP-035, which actually I believe both of these were warning signs of my future, let's say, mental illnesses that I would develop later, or that, I mean, were already developing but weren't fully like, I wasn't too deep into them yet. I don't know how to explain it, but basically, like, 035, I don't know, it's not like it was a warning sign, but it has to do with my DID, I believe. 096 was a warning sign because when I was 9, maybe even younger, like from like 6 to 9 years old, I think, saying that I related to SCP-096, which, if my child ever says that shit, which, like, I'm not planning to have children, but in case I do, and my child, like literal child, not as in like my offspring, as in like a child, says to me that they relate to 096, I'm gonna be worried, because like the whole point of the character is that you can't look at it without getting it triggered. It hates interacting with others. It's like depressed. That should have been a warning sign. That should have been a warning sign. And honestly, this experience with me as a kid is what kind of led me to believe that if you want to like study child psychology and shit, you also kind of have to be like open to know what is kind of like what the kids are liking right now, because that's kind of how kids can express themselves in a way. But anyways, 096 is kind of like another thing, and it's not exactly about DID, but more about my depression and childhood trauma. But talking back about DID, like talking again about DID, ever since I was a kid, I was fascinated by 035. I don't know why, my brain just was very interested in the whole concept of it. When I was in elementary school, I was obsessed with the fact that it could read minds and that it always knew in a way because it could read minds, and the fact that it like could change bodies, the fact that it technically had no identity because it could be like, it's a parasite, so it was always changing bodies. It could be of any, let's say, not exactly gender, because like in terms of gender, I'm pretty sure that 035 like identifies as male, but like it could be bodily, male, female, possibly intersex, but as a child I didn't know what intersex was. It could be of any race. It could be like of any body type. It could be anything. And trust me, as a child who was traumatized to the point of like not identifying as anything, and like literally anything, I didn't feel male, but I didn't feel female. I didn't feel white, which, hey, I know that like changing your race is impossible. I do not support transracialism, but it like, I used to be a transracial, and I believe that that is just kind of part of my DID experience. Like, I didn't know what transracial was, so it's not like I promoted it, but it's just like I felt that way, and that's something that we need to know, I believe. Anyways, like the fact that this character could like be anything has always fascinated me, and I've always wanted that. I've always wanted to be able to just have any sort of body, like any sort of body. Yeah, exactly. So like I've always been fascinated by that, and then when I was like 10, I stopped being so much into SCP for, I don't know, I guess I just like kind of grew out of it. It's fine, like we outgrow shit all the time. But anyways, when I was 12, I kind of got into SCP Foundation again. And what happened, that is also when I developed the DID, and when I was back into the like obsession with SCP Foundation, I got like I started again liking 096 and 035. I don't know, I guess they're just like staples of my identity. And with 096, it was kind of like the same, this whole like, oh, I relate to it a lot. Kind of an edgy thing to say, but I mean, it was genuine. I genuinely related to it, which is sad again. But then when I was, like, in terms of like me liking 035 though, the thing that intrigued me was the fact, like the whole like black acid thing, the whole like rotting body, the rot, the accelerated rot of the host, the whole how do I explain this? Like the also like the acid coming from its eyes and the mouth. It was so, I don't know why I was so intrigued by it. I know why I liked it so much, but I did, and I would draw black everywhere. I would like take pens and cut them up to like make it, to like stain everything black, whether it was like the school's walls, paper, and like drawings. I would make almost everything black. Then I would like all that, and then I would like do all of this. I don't know. I believe that it was just kind of like this. I believe it's kind of just like me still not being fully recovered from like being a gore addict. I've always, when I was a child, I would always be very interested in gore, and I don't mean it in the edgy way. I mean it in like the very bad way of like genuinely enjoying watching gore videos and like genuinely videos of people dying and seeing pictures of dead people. Like, and I heard that it's like normal to a certain extent for children to not go out and look for it, but like, you know, most people have been in the example of like there was a car crash on the street and all they wanted was to see a dead body. That is normal, but after like age 10, I think that's when it starts being a bit like when you should start like looking out. But anyways, so when I was like 12 again, I became obsessed with 035 again. And that is when I started like fully developing my DID, as in I started experiencing having alters for the first time. And it was such a weird experience. Me as an alter, my name is now Serafina. I used to identify as SCP-035, and that gave me actual physical repercussions. Like, I would feel my body rotting from the inside and out. I would see the walls of my room bleeding. I would see like a ton of rather disturbing things that I don't know how I managed to handle it at 12, which I mean, I actually know, and the thing is, I actually could not handle it. My mental health was like one of its worst points when I was 12 because of this. But anyways, so when I was like, so before my name was Serafina, when I realized that I am not an introject, I am actually a brain-made alter. I used to go by Diopolonoi, of course, because that is like, in terms of like the source, it's like 035's real name. And it was such a weird experience, genuinely. Let me think. I was like, first off, I had picked up the whole like manipulation shit, and trust me, that I regret. I regret it so much. I was such like a mean girl, and I don't mean it mean as in like bully, but I have friends which I'm not going to name, because if I ever include my friends in my YouTube videos, I don't want them to be remembered as like the friend that I did this and that and the other. I had friends, I had these 4 friends which I was very close to and that I still am. One of them I avoided because, oh, she's weird, I don't like her. One of them I was kind of obsessed with. I always talked to them, I texted them every day, and I was like saying bullshit, okay? It was just like memes and jokes and shit, but it was, like, I was still kind of obsessed with her platonically. I actually don't know their pronouns in English because there is no such thing as they, them in Italian. I'll just say them for safety. I would text them every day and kind of act friendly, but then there was threats, which I said, oh, they're just a joke. They're just a joke with like, okay, they were just jokes in fact, but genuinely, like, it was such, like, you can joke, yes, you can, I still threaten my friends to like, oh, I'll kill you, I'll beat you up, as a joke, but there's a difference between like, just saying, oh, I'm going to beat you up, and genuine, like, threats of violence, like, rather descriptive. That's the thing that I feel should be worrying, is the how accurate the description is. Like threatening, "Oh, I'm gonna kill you," that can still be a joke, but saying, "Oh, I'm gonna stab you," that can be still a joke. But going extremely into detail, almost making it look like a fantasy, saying shit like, "Oh, I'm going to like kill you, take your corpse, like peel the skin off and use your guts to hang you to my ceiling and start beating you like a piñata." That's worrying. That is not normal. Especially when the fact that this friend of mine, I used to beat the shit out of them. Which, like, okay, me and my friend, we still kind of like beat each other up, but like, ironically, like a slap on the wrist or maybe even like on the back and shit, I believe that can still be normal. But there's a difference between like ironic, ha ha ha, or straight up, my friend, they used to flinch at me. They had, they would tell me shit like, "Oh, my back is still hurting from the punch you gave me yesterday," or, "Oh, I have a mild bruise on my arm now," and I would derive pleasure from it. And that is when identifying as a fictional character can go way south, because like the point of 035 is that he is like an extreme manipulator. He has like driven people to kill themselves just for fun. Which, hey, I'm not saying that you're a bad person if you like enjoy seeing characters do fucked up shit. I believe that like to a certain extent it's like fiction. I don't believe that you're wrong for liking characters who are like villains, killers, and shit. But also, like, there is a problem when you start imitating it. Then another thing that I would do, I believe, is that when I used to go by the Apollonoe, I would like, again, I would drool. I would like cry out of nowhere for kind of like no reason. I would, like, I had like always tears coming down my face. I would drool sometimes. And I believe I used to also like try to peel my own face off. Like, I would either go in with my nails and scratch off my face, or I would dig my fingernail under my jawbone and try to peel the whole face off, like, and that is disturbing to think and to remember and to realize that it was me who did that. And now, even now, with the ID, this happened like a year ago. I mean, more than a year ago, but like around a year ago in the early 2024. So, and that was me as an alter, that I was like, in early 2024, that is when I started like first developing my identity. And so since I didn't have like an identity, not even as an alter, I latched onto the identity of my old comfort character. But then, even now that I have an identity as an alter, with the ID, I have a new alter. And guess, he's an introject, and guess of who? Again, an introject of 035. It's just something that we cannot escape for whatever reason. And I'm kind of making this video to ask people, hey, is this normal? Like, has this happened to anyone else? Because, I mean, of course it's not normal, but because the ID isn't normal. Like, I'm not saying that, like, people with the ID shouldn't exist, but, like, having so much trauma that your identity splits, I don't think that's normal. Anyways, so even now we have an altar that is an interject of 035, and like currently they do not act like their source. Thank God, thank God, thank God. Anyways, but there's still a ton of problems. First off, there is like so little care for the body by our 035 introject, because he's still in the mentality of, oh, if my body rots, which it will, and it will do quickly, I can just change it. No, you can't. And yeah, that also like brings not only to self-neglect but also self-harm, because like, oh, I'm harming the body, oh, who cares, I can just change it. Then there's also like the source trauma. He has told us he remembers being shot in the legs. He has remembered getting surgery with no anesthesia and with unclean tools. He remembers having let me think. He remembers like his body being rotten and therefore being rather like not caring about pain, like being able to be cut in half and like be like crawling on his arms just because he no longer has legs. He remembers like decapitation and still being alive after being decapitated. Like, there is a ton of things that we can't do because of him, and I don't mean this to say like in a shameful way. He would never choose to have this source of like this type of source trauma. Why would he ever choose that? So I'm not blaming him for something he can't control, but like again, there's a few things that we can't do, and like it is kind of, but this video isn't exactly about him, and I honestly don't feel like talking about him that much because I don't know, I don't want to talk about his source trauma that much, because first off, I don't know a lot about it because I'm not him, and second off, while he has agreed that we can talk about it, I still feel uncomfortable sharing such vulnerable moments of somebody else's life, let's say. But yeah, again, just to check that I've said everything. I've felt intrigued by 035 my entire childhood. I would latch onto 035's identity before before I had my own. 035 is still part of my identity because of the ID. I just wanted to talk about this fictional character that has genuinely like changed my life, not worse for the better, but they have genuinely been such a huge part of my identity. It's insane, and I wanted to do a makeup look inspired by them. And I guess that's it. So I'll see you guys in the next video, which will probably be pre-recorded. And again, I love you guys so much. This was a broken glass shattered video again. And bye guys, see you in the next video.